In the 1800s, England expands its global trade, bringing in exotic silks and spices from overseas. Along with these treasures, they unwittingly introduce a zombie virus. Soon, the country is overrun. Millions perish, only to rise again with an insatiable hunger for brains. In response, citizens begin mastering combat arts from Asia. The government constructs the Grand Barrier, a towering 100-foot wall around London, and digs the Royal Canal beyond it, creating a no-man's land called the In-Between. During the Second Battle of Kent, a canal bridge is overrun, and the In-Between is lost. The king, driven to madness, orders all bridges destroyed save one. Aristocrats flee the city for their fortified manners. One day, Colonel Darcy arrives in Hertfordshire after hearing rumours of infection. A guard escorts him underground to be inspected by a priest. Cleared of bites, Darcy is admitted to the estate where Mrs. Featherstone insists no zombies have entered in years. Feigning sociability, Darcy joins a card game and discreetly releases carrion fleas known for sensing decay. The flies quickly zero in on a guest. Without hesitation, Darcy smashes his glass, stabs the man's face, and severs his head. He then demands to know if the infection might have spread. Featherstone denies it, but Darcy kicks the severed head away before leaving. Featherstone's daughter, racked with guilt, checks on the guest's niece, but it's too late as she's turned and attacks. Meanwhile, Mr. Bennet trains his 5 daughters in every weapon and martial art. Mrs. Bennet disapproves, preferring marriage prospects. When she hears of an upcoming ball, she persuades Mr. Bennet to let them attend. The sisters prepare, hiding weapons beneath their dresses. At the event, Bingley meets Jane and is instantly smitten. They dance happily. He urges Darcy to join, suggesting Elizabeth. Darcy dismisses her as tolerable but not handsome enough, which Elizabeth overhears, leaving her humiliated. Outside, she cries, interrupted by the now zombified Featherstone. She tries to speak, but Darcy shoots her. The sound alerts others, and another zombie attacks. The guards ring the alarm. While guests panic, the Bennet sisters leap into action, slaying zombies with precision. Darcy watches Elizabeth fight and finds himself intrigued. Afterward, the corpses are burned. Back home, Jane gushes over Bingley, while Elizabeth vents about Darcy as she drains. Jane soon receives an invite to tea. Mrs. Bennet sends her on horseback, hoping weather will prolong the visit. On the road, dogs flee a zombie. Jane's horse bucks her off. Her musket misfires. She resorts to knife combat, dismembering and killing her attacker. As rain begins, she sees a zombified mother cradling an infected baby. Next day, Elizabeth visits Bingley's estate and finds Jane ill. A doctor checks her while Darcy tests carrion flies. They react not at all, and Elizabeth crushes them, mocking him. Jane joins the others but prefers reading over cards, sparking a debate about femininity. Darcy appears conflicted. That night, Elizabeth secretly watches him train. Next morning, the family arrives to retrieve the sisters. Bingley wants them to stay, but Darcy cites risk. Mrs. Bennet persuades Bingley to throw a ball. On the way home, they notice the orphanage has fallen, zombie children now roaming the forest. Soon after, Cousin Collins visits the future heir, as women cannot inherit. Over lunch, he praises his patroness Lady Catherine, a famed zombie slayer. Interested in Jane, he's redirected to Elizabeth. Later, en route to visit relatives, the group encounters a wrecked carriage and a woman crying for help. She's a zombie, quickly dispatched by the sisters. Elizabeth struggles with gear. Collins refuses to help. In town, they meet new soldiers and Lieutenant Wickham, who charms Elizabeth. Darcy rides by, sees them, and withdraws. Wickham reveals a grudge against Darcy over inheritance. At the ball, Jane and Bingley enjoy each other. Elizabeth tries to chat with Wickham but gets roped into dancing with Collins. Darcy attempts to cut in but is thwarted. Leaving, he overhears Mrs. Bennet praising Bingley's fortune. Meanwhile, Elizabeth and Bingley spot a servant under attack. They pursue, but Bingley is ambushed. Elizabeth intervenes, saving him, and discovers a group of zombie orphans. When asked how they got in, a child says, "Our new friend helped them." Darcy arrives, slaying the horde with ease. He nearly executes Bingley but is stopped by Elizabeth. She tells him he's a fine warrior but an awful friend. Next day, Bingley departs for London, planning to court Darcy's sister. During lunch, Collins proposes to Elizabeth. She declines, refusing to give up fighting. Her father supports her choice. In the forest, Elizabeth sees birds circling 4 men in top hats, then meets Wickham, who leads her to a church full of zombies eating pig brains. He explains they stay partially human if they avoid human flesh and believes this could end the war. Elizabeth is intrigued but learns the government is broke and unwilling to help. Later, Elizabeth accompanies her friend, newly engaged to Collins, to meet Lady Catherine. At the estate, she notices a painting of the 4 zombie horsemen. When she meets Catherine, she's surprised to find Darcy there. He's her nephew. Wickham also arrives, seeking funding. Catherine scoffs at his plan. Collins mentions biblical prophecy of the Antichrist leading zombies. Darcy loses his temper when his father is mentioned and ejects Wickham. That night, Elizabeth can't sleep and walks the garden, finding Wickham again. He reveals Darcy manipulated Bingley, convincing him Jane was a gold digger. He asks Elizabeth to elope, but she refuses. Before leaving, he warns her of impending doom. Next day, Darcy proposes, confessing his disdain yet admiration for Elizabeth. She refuses and throws objects at him. They fight, briefly ending in awkward closeness. She again rejects him, and he leaves. Elizabeth later receives a letter. Darcy explains he only wanted to protect Bingley, that he gave Wickham his due inheritance, and that Wickham tried to marry Darcy's teenage sister for money. To avoid heartbreak, Darcy has gone to London to battle a growing horde. Returning home, Elizabeth learns Wickham has absconded with Lydia. She suspects he's taken her to the zombie church. That night, Lady Catherine arrives, declaring Darcy will marry her daughter unless Elizabeth does first. Unsure of her feelings, Elizabeth is challenged to a duel. She battles Catherine's guard, a fierce man, and after a brutal fight, defeats him. Catherine, impressed, yields. Mr. Bennet tries to stop Elizabeth from rescuing Lydia, but Catherine offers to protect the family so the sisters can go. At the bridge, soldiers say it will be blown up at dawn to stop the zombies. Elizabeth and Jane press on. On the battlefield, Bingley is nearly killed, but Jane saves him. Nearby, Darcy is ambushed but rescued by Elizabeth, who informs him about Lydia. Darcy lies, saying the church was destroyed. Alone, he sneaks in and finds Lydia. He uncovers Wickham's plans for an assault. When Wickham appears, Darcy offers money for Lydia. Wickham refuses and shoots. The noise awakens the horde. Darcy frees Lydia while his horse helps them escape. He sends her to the bridge and faces Wickham, initiating a sword fight. Meanwhile, Elizabeth sees the church intact and rides hard. In camp, soldiers find that the dead have been robbed of their brains. At the church, the fight continues. Darcy wounds Wickham, but he reveals he's undead. Fueled by hate, he's resisted his hunger. He declares himself the Antichrist and begins to kill Darcy, only to be stopped by Elizabeth, who severs his arm and tramples him. The couple flees on horseback, chased by the horde. They reach the bridge as the bombs detonate. The sisters fear Elizabeth is dead, but through the smoke, she emerges, crawling to Darcy's unconscious body. She kisses him, confessing her love. Days later, Bingley proposes to Jane, who accepts. Darcy awakens and tells Elizabeth he heard her on the bridge. He proposes, and she says yes. They wed in a joint ceremony with Collins officiating. Just as happiness seems assured, Wickham reappears, leading a fresh zombie army.